I can't remember another day when so many Americans were waiting for the Supreme Court to rule. But today was one of those days all across America. Everyone understood that a decision just across that street by 9 members of the Supreme Court was historic and politically significant. This morning, the Supreme Court handed down this decision, 193 pages with all of the major opinions and dissenting and concurring opinions included in the National Federation of Independent Business versus Sebelius. Behind this decision was a human experience that most every one of us has had at one time or another. I can recall in my own family experience that moment when I was a brand new dad and a law student, not exactly a great combination in planning, but that was my life, and our daughter was born with a serious problem. We were here in Washington, D.C., and we were uninsured. No health insurance, brand new baby, and I'm a law student. And I can remember leaving Georgetown Law School, just a few blocks away from here, to go over to Children's Memorial Hospital to sit in a room with all of the other parents who had no health insurance. It was a humbling experience, waiting for your number to be called for a brand new doctor that you'd never seen before to sit down and ask you again for the 100th time the history of your child. You never feel more helpless as a parent in that circumstance, to have no health insurance and to hope, just to pray, that you're still doing the best for your child. That experience is one that literally millions of Americans have every single day with no health insurance, praying that they'll get through the day without an accident, a diagnosis, or something that's going to require medical care. What we tried to do with the Affordable Care Act was twofold. First, to expand the reach of health insurance coverage to more families. And second, to make health insurance itself more affordable and more reasonable. Let me start with this question of affordable and reasonable health insurance. Like my family, many families had children with a problem. A baby born with asthma, diabetes, cancer, heart issues. These are children which need special care, and many times families, when they turn and ask for health insurance, were turned away. Well, that's not fair, and it's not what we need in America. We need health insurance to protect those families, and that's one of the major provisions in the Affordable Care Act. Secondly, many people don't realize until it's too late that their old health insurance policies had lifetime limits. There was only so much money the health insurance company would pay, and people got into challenging medical situations with expensive health care needed, only to learn in the midst of their chemotherapy, their health insurance was all in, finished, walked away. We changed that in affordable health care. We eliminated the lifetime limits on health insurance policies for that very reason. We also said that the health insurance companies should be entitled to a profit and, of course, should charge a premium to cover the cost of their administration of health care, but we started drawing limits to what they could ask. 85% of the money collected in premiums needed to be paid into actual health care. The other 15% is available for marketing, for administration, for executive compensation, but 85% had to go into actual cost of health care, hoping to keep premiums from rising too fast. That was in the Affordable Health Care Act. We went on to say that when it came to coverage, we detected a problem. Too many families had their sons and daughters graduating from college, looking for jobs and not finding full-time jobs with health insurance. So we expanded family health care coverage to include children, young men and women, through the age of 25. We said we should be able to keep them under the family health care plan while they're getting their lives together and looking for work. That was one of the basics that was included in the Affordable Health Care Act. All of those things, I think, made health insurance, make it more affordable and more reasonable for the families that need it. Then came the question of what to do about those people who have no health insurance. Some people don't have health insurance because they work at a job that doesn't provide it and they can't afford it. Others have an opportunity to pay for it but decide, I'm going to wait, or I don't need it. You hear that particularly from younger people who think they're invincible and they'll never, ever need health insurance coverage. So the question was, how do we expand the reach of health insurance coverage? And we did it in this bill. We set a standard and said you should not have to pay anything more than 8% of your income for health insurance premiums. And if you're in lower income categories, we will help you with tax credits and treatment in the tax code to pay for your health insurance. For your employer, the business you work for, we'll give them additional tax credits to offer health insurance, hoping to continue to expand that pool of insured people in America. And for the poorest of the poor, we said ultimately you'll be covered by Medicaid, the government health insurance plan, and for at least the first several years, the federal government will pay the entire cost, the expanded cost of that coverage. The notion is to get more and more people under the tent, under the umbrella of coverage. And that not only gives them peace of mind, but it also means for many hospitals and providers across America, there'll be fewer charity patients. Let's be honest about it. Even people without health insurance get sick. And when they do, they come to a hospital and they are treated. And when they can't pay, their bills are passed on to all the rest of us. My hometown of Springfield, Illinois, Memorial Medical Center, the CEO there said, if you just had everybody walking through our front door at least paying Medicaid, we'll be fine. Do that, Senator. And that's what this bill sets out to do. Now, there were some people who objected to the part which said, if you can afford to buy health insurance and don't, you're going to pay a penalty. Some people called it a mandate. Others, I call it personal responsibility. If you can afford to buy health insurance, you should buy it, because 60% of the folks who don't buy it end up getting sick, and the rest of us pay for it, and that's not fair to the system. It's estimated to cost those with private health insurance $1,000 a year just to pay for those who don't buy it when they can. That was one of the issues being debated before the Supreme Court. We all waited expectantly for this day at the end of the October term of 2011 for the U.S. Supreme Court. And the decision today was that the Affordable Care Act that President Obama signed into law is constitutional. And now we can move forward. Some people have said, well, is it perfect? And the answer, of course, is no. I say half jokingly, the only perfect law was carried down the side of a mountain on clay tablets by Senator Moses. All the other efforts are our best human efforts and always subject to improvement. And the same thing's true for this. I'm sure the president would say exactly the same thing. But the good news is this. Today, the Supreme Court found that the president's Affordable Care Act is constitutional. Madam President, today the President of the United States went to the cameras after the Supreme Court decision and talked about this decision by the court and this law. And he said, for those who believe that the Affordable Care Act was just politics as usual, it was a political risk, and he knew it. There were close friends and advisors of the president who basically counseled him, don't try to take this on. This issue has stopped president after president. I tried to help President Clinton and then First Lady Clinton when they were passing health care reform, and try as they might, they couldn't get it done. But President Obama stuck with it. Even though there was precious little help from the other side of the aisle, he stuck with it and got the bill passed. They then challenged him in court at every level they could, and today at the highest court of our land, it was found constitutional. The president said, and I think we all should pay attention to this, it's not only good in its substance, and I've described it, but it's also a new challenge for us, Democrats and Republicans, to make it work. The American people want us to come together to help make health insurance affordable and available, to incentivize quality care, and to make certain that America, the richest nation on earth, has the best and most affordable health care on earth. It took the Supreme Court 193 pages to say it today, And now it's up to us, both Democrats and Republicans, to work together. Maybe put the swords aside and sit down at a table and make this law even better across America. I think the American people are counting on us. I think the Supreme Court today, in finding President Obama's Affordable Care Act constitutional, made it clear that now it's up to us to put the policies in place that'll make it successful and help families, businesses, individuals all across America.